I'm standing here about 1,000 feet above sea level. It's not far from my home. This is my backyard, and over my shoulder is the river Finthorn as it works its way through the strath from where it came from the hills of the Monadhliath mountains. It's a beautiful place, and a good place as any to talk a little bit about plant hunting. Now, in the past, a lot of people have made fortunes and lost their lives seeking out different species from around the world. And in normal times, we would be retracing those steps on the noble Caledonia expeditions to various parts of the world, following where they went. But during these constrained times, I'm suggesting it might be a great opportunity to do a little bit of plant hunting closer to home. Now, this is a woody burdock, not an uncommon plant, and you probably in your childhood used it as a sticky burr to hang onto your clothing, and it does that with tiny little hooks on the end of the spikes, like crochet hooks. It was the inspiration for the invention of Velcro. Now, a guy, Georges de Mestral, a Swiss engineer, was out walking in the woods during the 1940s, and he returned with some of these stuck to his clothing and his dog, or one or the other, and he worked out how it functioned, and from that he patented the idea of Velcro. The name comes from velour cloth and crochet-shaped hook. So he patented that in 1955 and went on to make 60 million yards a year. So I guess he made a bit of money out of that little bit of inadvertent plant hunting. Now, where we are here, we've got a fabulous little 3-mile circuit, which is great for walking, or if you've got the energy, a bit of jogging, and there are various flowers around the track, and often I take a little stroll around. But on one occasion I came back with, I hope this works, with burrs stuck on my clothing. Well, I have some here, and whence they came I didn't know, so I had to retrace my steps and eventually tracked it down to this particular plant. It's not very spectacular, but it's still very interesting. Every plant has a story, and it's got these various arms that look like octopus. That's the keeper driving by, which suggests it's in the Boraginaceae family, and it's called Hound's tongue. It has a rough feel to it, also known as the gypsy flower and rats and mice, from the fact that it is supposed to smell of them, but I can't detect it. Its proper kennel name is Ophioglossum officinale, and the officinale bit suggests that it had medicinal properties, and the French, in their Dictionnaire économique of 1725, recommended it as a cure for madness. As we know, the humours of the brain can dry up in the humid parts, so they have to be re-lubricated, and their suggestion was to shave your head and then rub a live chicken or a pigeon on it before consuming a concoction of various plants containing also this particular one. And you wonder why we're leaving the EU. Anyway, later on in the 1830s, they still thought it was a great cure, an emollient to help with various fevers. Meanwhile, down in England, further south from here, they thought of it as being more useful as an anti-aphrodisiac. Shows your priorities, I guess. And it would be boiled and consumed to suppress venal desires and curb the spread of venereal diseases. Also, it helped with baldness. So there it is, not too spectacular, but an interesting plant. And that was my bit of inadvertent plant hunting once again. And I'm going to take you now to the only place that I found where it grows in the Strath. Well, here I am at the secret location. You might be able to work it out by looking over my shoulder at this famous B-listed construction, the Finthorn Viaduct. It was completed in 1897, designed by architects Burdock, Patterson and John Fowler. And they used 9 spans of double Warren steel girder framing supported on 43-metre tall piers of dressed rubble, which should be very reassuring for passengers who travel between Perth and Inverness. We've been very grateful as residents too that it stood the test of time, because there have been trains passing by in the night on their way south from the Dounreay nuclear power station, carrying who knows what, for what purpose. Anyway, I'm at the south end of it, underneath a stone arch, and this is the only place that I've found the Hounds tongue plant. I'm just going to pan the camera around so you can see this less than salubrious location. And maybe you can see the plant here behind me, and there is a small extent of it beneath the arch. That's the only place I know where it is. I think the farmers will be pretty grateful that it's not out in the fields, because it does tend to stick in sheep fur, and it's also poisonous for cattle. So an interesting plant, maybe, if you like that sort of thing, with an interesting story. That was my little bit of plant hunting that I did in this location. And until we can get out on the waters again with noble Caledonia, exploring various parts of the world, perhaps you could have a little go at plant hunting in your own location too. I wish you luck.